Hi, another 10-minute-ish video. Today is my birthday, so we're going to be drawing a birthday cake in honor of my glorious big day. So I am going to share screens. I've got some pinks because it's a pink birthday cake day for sure. So I'm going to switch over to my Okiocam snapshot recorder. And I do love this. That's not even an advertisement. It's just, I love this thing. Look at this. Oh, an unsharp pencil. Let's get rid of that, okay? That's being replaced with a slightly sharp pencil. So I have this super up close so that you can see what I'm drawing. And I have a brush because I'm really getting in the habit of brushing out all my little eraser crumbs and graphite crumbs instead of brushing them with my hand, because if you're wearing nail polish or anything like that, it gets all over the paper and it's really hard to get off. I've got a blender. I have a Mono Zero, which is this great little eraser, and I have 8B. So I usually start by putting down a pool of graphite, and I do this mainly because when you're starting out to draw, it is so much easier if you can let your right brain do a lot of the heavy lifting. You'll be surprised at how much, I'm going to switch back really quick. You'll be surprised at how much your right brain already understands about the objects you look at. When you go to do a drawing and you just start with that outline drawing, you're almost experiencing everything in a very analytical, it has to be right. It seems like that, for lack of a better word, that inner critic is right there hounding you all the time. Whereas when you switch to drawing with a blender, because it's just a different feel. Try it and you'll experience a difference in your head about where you are. And it's a lot looser because with a big line like that, it's more like drawing with a crayon. And when you're drawing with a crayon, there isn't a lot of criticism going on. It's more about the color. It's more about different things. So our brain's kind of trained that when we're having crayons, it's fun. But when we're doing line drawings, it has to look like something. And when you're starting out a sketch, it may not look like anything at first. And that's when you don't want to have it. Start condemning yourself because it doesn't look right. So even for something this simple, if I were going to draw a cake flat out and say, okay, here's the cake, and now I'm confused. All right, what is the shape? There's a plate that it's sitting on, but what does that look like? And I know there's going to be candles, but it looks like a brick. This is where when you start drawing, that's usually what happens. And then you're like, okay, and I know that plate's a circle. And that's what starts happening in the drawing. And I just want to show you a few little quick things that will make you have a better conception of how to draw something, which is basically a cylinder. So I usually start with 2 dots and I connect them like this. And then you're going to want to do that same exact shape up above. I'm dropping a line down each side. And the key to it is this line right here, that angle, that arc, it has to be real similar down here. This is what gives the illusion of roundness, is this. And you can see, all right, so I'm going to do my light source is going to be here, say. If I do shading on this, and now do a blender, you can really start seeing how I'm building up an illusion that you could possibly believe now is starting to be something other. Even if I shade this, it's going to be difficult because my basic lines are off. So in your head, before you ever draw a cake, it's good to know that you're always going to want to have those round lines like this, because otherwise you are stuck with something that's more rectangular, or in this case, a square. And it's really hard, even if your shading's correct with your light source, it's not a form, it's a shaded shape. And so that's the difference. The magic comes in the fact of these dots, you get this line, repeat it up here, drop these down, and then that same thing. So once you have that, now if I want to put a plate beneath it, I can put a dot here and a dot here, And the reason I'm putting them here is because I know that my top line, if I'm doing this arc, the same thing I did here, you can see that with a little bit of adjustment, I can get a pretty quick, geez, it also looks like a hat. This is a great hat illusion too. It's the same thing. If you take something like this, you can see how this could be just a straw hat, that kind of hat. But you can also see if I did something like this, it's the same idea. Still making that. Now I've got a great witch's hat going. So this is a great little illusion to know. So for the cake, if I want to do this, then I can say, all right, I'm going to even add on to this. And my neighbor is a brilliant baker of cakes, and she often does these things. So I've got a double layer cake. So if I want to go in and say, here's my frosting, and I want to put this here, and I want to do this, you can see that I can start building. There's my plate. It still looks like a fancy hat, right? But if we start doing things like this and shading, that's where you can start building up an illusion pretty quick. And the rounder this goes, you can make this plate. You can even make it into some fancy stand. And by doing this with the blender, I'm able to kind of get my brain out of the way. And I'm just throwing this together quickly. And I can go in and then say, all right, it's going to be even on both sides. And I can do this. And I can start making something fun and making something, just this general outlay of doing a cake. So that's in my head. That's how I'm starting with this. This was an 8B, and it's way too smeary for drawing a cake. So because I've done this before and I know what kind of cake I want, I've got 3 colored pencils. This is my light. It's a light pink. I have a medium pink, and I have a dark pink. And then I grabbed, it looks very blue on the screen, but it's actually light aqua. So now I can go in with this because I practiced this. So I understand what I'm going for. So now when I go in, I can put my dots in, put in something like this, that oval shape, and I'm sketching right now. So this is not my drawing, but in it, I'm creating the foundation, the framework for how I want this cake to look. So I'm going to go down again. And as long as this line is like this line is going to be that same curve. So I'm going to go down. And while I'm at it, I'm going to say, all right, I do want that fancy stand. So here is my lines out here to put the plate that it's sitting on. And because I have this center line, I'm going to say, all right, I'm going to toss some of these fancy things. Keep that going. Here's my surface down here. And because I also want this to be something that is existing in space, I can do this, and that's going to give me what that bottom looks like. And this is my center point because it's going to connect right there. So even if I just do this, and let's say I have it connect right there. Okay, so that's kind of my setup for this. I get that this is a little bit longer and it is a little top heavy. I would worry about that cake falling off. But the idea is it's a bunch of these ovals and then this cross line down the center. And I also know that I'm going to have, God forbid I put 57 candles on this, but we're doing 4. And then I'm also going to want, say, some sort of frosting thing going on here and here. So that would be my sketch. Now I'm going to take my medium, which is a medium pink. And if I do my sun source here and know that that's where that's going to be, I know that on this side, even if my cake is a pink cake, I still need to put some sort of shading so that you, the viewer, understand that it's a round shape. It's a cylinder. So I'm bringing my shading. And again, when you look at my hand right over it, I want to show you this. This is what's happening again, that gradient blend. If this is going to be a dark area, I need to have a mid-tone range and I need to have light. That's what I'm doing. This is still only my medium color. I'm not putting my dark one down yet. And that's why I'm bringing it into the center, because this is the center, this medium shade. If I look at this, I kind of have here's here, here, and you can see here's my dark, here's my medium area, here's my light area. That's all I'm doing. I'm working on this gradient blend. And because I know that a curved line helps you, the viewer, understand that I'm telling you it's a cylinder, I'm curving my lines when I'm coloring into this a little. And then I'm blending just a teeny bit over this way into my light area. And I'm going to do the same thing down here. Here's my dark. I'm watching out because I know I'm going to have a frosting pile down here, so I'm kind of not ending it very cleanly down there or up here. Bringing this over. Here's my midtones. And then I'm going to put a little midtone up in here because I'm really not sure what to do with this color up here, but I know the top of the cake is still going to be pink. So now I'm going in. This is my darkest shade. So the job for this now is to make sure that these are dark tones. So I'm going back into these areas and putting in that shadow on the end. The same thing here. And I'm filling that in and making this darkness. And there's going to be a shadow right along here because my sun's coming from up here somewhere. And the shadow is just another opportunity to help your viewer understand what you're trying to tell them. This is frosting. It's hanging over. It's going to have a little bit of a shadow underneath. And that's why I'm putting that line there. I'm doing a teeny gradient blend so that I'm not leaving this as a harsh line. I'm blending it down ever so slightly this way, but that's really going to help that frosting to stand out. And the same thing here. I can go back in. I'm blending up a little bit. I don't want such a harsh line there like this. I'm just blending up a little bit. And then over here, I'm going to fill that in a little bit darker. If you look at a real cake, it's all going to be pink all the way across. But when you're drawing it, if I made it dark all the way across, I would have to go darker anyways to give you the illusion that it's cylinder shape. So that's all I'm doing right now. I'm just putting this in. On this side, this line right here is really helping me tell you still cylinder shape. So if I leave this light, I'm losing an opportunity right here. I'm putting in the teeniest amount of shadow right down here. But can you see how that really helps your eye start seeing from here to here, from here to here? It's really seaming up that. So visually, you're seeing another indication that, hey, it's a cylinder. And that's what's going to help your viewer understand what you're telling them. It's all illusion at this point. This is my frosting. I'm putting a dark line in here. And I'm putting a little bit here, and I'm going to put it in right up here. And I'm going to give you a little hint here that this is a rounding shape. What I'm doing is I'm kind of just putting a shadow in on the far side of my candles because I know that that's another opportunity for me to be able to help you, the viewers, see this. So now that I'm at this point, I'm going in, I'm taking my medium tone. Now I know I can go a little darker with this color in here because this is darker back here. I'm putting it over this. That's still keeping this my darkest side back here. Bringing this into the middle. And now I have this right here. I'm going to add a little bit to beef those curves up so you're seeing that. Now I can go in up here and I'm going to go right over all those lines I made. Still leaving a white space where those candle bases are. This is my lightest tone. So now I can just go in and fill this in. I've given you the illusion. You're getting this roundness. This is coming across. And this is kind of a purple. It's not quite in the pink families. So you can see it's putting a little bit of shade over this. And I'm going to make that my frosting color as well. So I'm going in with this. It's toning it down a little bit. And also because this color is such a lovely color, I'm going to make this my plate. So let's pretend this is like a nice depression glass. So it's, wow, there we go. Filling these in, brushing that off and coloring that in. I'm going to go back. I'm going to kind of beef my little candles up again. So this gives me the real basic color layout. It gives me the illusion, and it's starting to help you see what I'm trying to tell you, that it's a cake. So I'm sharpening my aqua, and I'm using this because it's just such a lovely contrast color to all these pinks. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going in lightly underneath here, and I'm putting a little bit of this. I'm skipping, I'm not doing every step, like little dots popping in under that. It gives it a little bit more shadow. Same thing down here. I'm doing this. It's so light, and this looks so very blue, and it's actually not blue at all. It's a very aqua colored. So I suppose it's depending on screen monitors. Putting this in, dropping this in, it's just giving a nice contrast color. It's putting a little bit more shadow. I'm doing the teeniest, this kind of thing, just one little light coat over this far side and over here. I'm putting a teeny bit in here and on this side, just helping to sew up that edge so that there's an edge there. It's not just like right here, it's just floating off the page and floating off into the white. And I want to kind of shut that down. So I'm just going to give you a teeny hint. And visually, your eye is going to close that up instead of it just being, and I could do it in pink, but I want to add some shadow back here. I'm going to put in a little bit more under here just to pop that out a little bit. Down here. And then on the far side of this fancy, fancy little thing. You can throw a little ball in there, here, here, and here. And now I can go here, put this in. I'm also kind of changing my shape a little here, making sure it's a little rounder on the edges, bringing this one in, getting rid of that harsh point back there, and then just putting some shading in here. Candles, I'm going down the back side of these with a little of this. And they're starting to stand out a little bit more. I'm not too worried that these lines are touching or right on each other because I kind of want a looser feel to this. I'm going to finish off the bottom of those candles. And then I'm going to take my medium, and now is when I'm going to finish the candles. Put them in. Now I'm filling in that white area. I'm going over this top because I'm like, yep, this is the color I want. And you can see I've switched to more of a burnishing movement. I'm going in, I'm actually making circles now, and I'm burnishing with my midtone all these colors together. I really don't want you to see all that blue. I want it to blend in. So I'm burnishing all this nice aqua down into here. And burnishing is just a way of blending all these colors together. So colored pencil, there's about 3 layers of color you need to get. And I have the dark underneath here. I have part of the light, and I have my medium, and that's what I'm burnishing right now. I'm pulling my medium over here so that my light coat has one more coat, which is medium. And then I'm going to go in. This is my lightest now, and I'm going to burnish over here. So I'm still getting rid of all the white that's in here. I'm kind of seaming these two back together so that I don't have, and you can see there's a really nice gradient blend going. Here's my dark coming over to my light. I'm going right over that blue-ish to you, but actually turquoise line, right over that. So it becomes more of a shadow than it is a blue color. I'm doing the same thing here. I'm going in and I'm just kind of smashing down all those little ones that I put in. So it gives the idea that there's candles sitting on the top. Now I'm going to go through here. I'm going to put the frosting on that back side, come around here, blend all this, blend all of this too. And now I want this to look more like depression wear, which is light. So I'm going to take a pencil that's white, and I'm just going to blend all this together. I don't mind that blue edge on here. It's a really nice contrast color. That I'm going to go over all of these for like a little crystal stem. And when you're burnishing with white, you're flattening everything down. I'm losing a bit of color. It's getting a bit dull. You can see how the colors are melding together. And that gives me a great kind of new working surface. So now I can go in, this is my medium pink, and I can go in and I can pop in a brighter shadow. You can see how it sits right on there. And I can start giving this what looks maybe like a rim to this. So maybe it's sitting down a little bit more. Right underneath, I'm putting this in, and even over onto this side a bit. So it's giving a nice contrast there. This is sticking out, so I do need to have a shadow underneath this. I'm going to pop that in. And then again, on the far side, I'm just going to put in a little bit more brightness and just a really loose, sketchy look with this. And maybe put a little more pink into the edge down here because I really don't want a rim down here. And then I'm going to take my dark pink and just lightly go over that. Just finish off those end lines. I kind of like how this is light over here. I do want to put a line right along the bottom of this to help you see that, okay, that's overhanging. And then a little bit more shadow right here. And then I didn't even think about this part. What about those candles? They're unlit as of yet. So I'm taking a yellow, this is a very thin, and I am just going to put some little flames on there. Voila, that's my birthday cake. So I'm also going to hold this up because online things look so crazy different than they actually do drawn. So you can see that you've got that nice light bottom, but you've got these beautiful gradient blends on there. And it kind of looks like the Cindy Lou Who birthday cake. I'm trying to get this so the light glare isn't so strong. Boom. But there's like that 3D idea to it, but there's also that idea, that setup behind it is understanding that you have to have the ability to make it look like a cylinder, because no amount of coloring on that is going to make it look like a cylinder. If you've got a square shape going, you have to take that shape and turn it into a form. So that was birthday cake day 3. And I will see you on day 4 tomorrow.